Hello everyone, welcome to the course Guide to English-Speaking Countries. Today, let's go on to learn American literature. The United States does its literature by imitating the British. Although the nation won its War of Independence in 1783, its cultural independence didn't arrive until the mid-19th century. Therefore, the history of American literature is the story of slow emergence of native elements and national characteristics. So, get yourself ready to know those writers and their works. They are the voices of America. The era from the founding of the first settlement of Jamestown to the outbreak of American Revolution is called the colonial period. The writings of this period are religious, practical, and historical. The major topic deals with American Puritanism. Writers of this period imitate and transplanted English literary tradition. Although the literature in this period has no distinctive characteristics, the political, economic, and social development at that time had a great influence on the formation of American literature. The Revolutionary period refers to the period between 1765 to 1790. Writers started to focus on reason. Benjamin Franklin was the representative of American Enlightenment in the 18th century. Autobiography, which he wrote during the Independent Revolution, had a profound influence on American outlook on life, career, and morality. At the beginning of the 19th century, the United States completely got rid of its dependence on Britain, and the national literature began to prosper. The writers in this period, like the British Romantic writers, emphasized the imagination and emotion, celebrated the nature and the thoughts, feelings of individuals and ordinary people. Although they imitate the British writers, their materials were taken from the American reality. So this period is also called the American Renaissance. Washington Irving, Herman Melville, and Walt Whitman represent the first great literary generation in the United States. Washington Irving is regarded as father of American literature. He initiated the tradition of American short stories and became the first American writer with international reputation. The greatest American romantic poet in the 19th century is Walt Whitman. The publication of Leaves of Grass in 1855 marks a new era of American literature. Herman Melville is generally regarded as one of the pinnacles of American literature. His masterpiece Moby Dick is acknowledged to be one of the world's great masterpieces. The American Civil War was a watershed in American history. It brought the Romantic period to an end. The major form of literature produced in this era was realistic fiction. Unlike Romantic fiction, realistic fiction aims to represent life as it really is. In order to have this effect, realist fiction focuses on the ordinary and commonplace. Mark Twain is the most important writer in this period. His masterpiece, The Adventure of Huckleberry Finn, appeared in 1884. This novel shows his two famous writing techniques, local color and colloquial language. Mark Twain made a great contribution to American realistic literature. Hemingway noted this novel as a book from which all modern American literature comes. In the last decade of the 19th century, influenced by French naturalism, a group of young writers believed people were dominated by environmental and genetic factors. They are more radical than realistic writers. They care about the people at the bottom of the society. The miserable life of the lower class shows there is no moral principle in the world. The representative of this period is Theodore Dreiser. He was born in poverty and had a deep understanding and sympathy for the lower class. In his early years, Dreiser was influenced by social Darwinism and later turned to naturalism. His masterpiece, American Tragedy, is praised as the greatest novel in the United States by critics. It profoundly illustrates the protagonist Claude is the victim of American social system, and his depravity should be responsible by the society. The modernism period in American literature lasted from 1914 to 1945. The First World War had a great influence on American thought and spirit. People's belief in freedom and democracy began to waver. They felt confused and even desperate. At the same time, a list of theories were widely spread in America, such as Marxism, Freud's psychoanalysis, and the stream of consciousness. Those theories had great impact on the American writers of modern period. Many young writers who published their works in the 1920s were often referred to as the lost generation. They participated in the First World War with the illusion of freedom and democracy. However, their ideals were disillusioned by the cruel war. Hemingway is the most popular American novelist. Because most of his works take the war as background, describe the pains and hurts the war brings to people, and reflect younger generations' aimlessness and loss of the beliefs. This work immediately won the responses from many people who survived the war. Hemingway became the spokesman for the lost generation. The Second World War ended in 1945. However, it is difficult for people to get rid of the fear brought by war. After the 1960s, a series of political events such as anti-war movement, the civil rights movement, and the feminist movement made people's thoughts more active and chaotic. Generally speaking, after the Second World War, in the eyes of American writers, the American dream has become a nightmare. The ideal of democracy, personal pursuit, and religious belief no longer existed. The traditional morals concept and value system lost their function. Modern people can only stay in the dilemma of loneliness and alienation. All this is reflected in literature. The Beat generation in the 1950s excluded all cultures and values. On the Road, written by Jack Kerouac, is the representative work of Beat generation. The protagonists in his work were crazy, so was the society. After the Second World War, a group of new black writers emerged. Ralph Ellison became famous for his Invisible Man. Critics agree the novel has a profound significance. The protagonist represents all modern people who seek for themselves, including white and black people. Since the 1980s, two black women writers, Alice Walker and Toni Morrison, have gained increasingly popularity. Walker was concerned about the women's movement, especially the problems and struggles of black women. Color Purple, published in 1982, breaks through the theme of traditional black literature and establishes female consciousness. This novel has become a classic of American women's literature. Morrison has achieved more. She pays more attention to the impact of the conflict between black and white cultures on black people. In 1993, Morrison was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature and became the first and only Black woman writer to win this prize. The 20th century witnessed the rise of American drama. The theme of drama is often the disruption of American dream, human loneliness, and difficulty of pursuing self-essence. Arthur Miller is the most famous American dramatist after the war. His masterpiece, Death of Salesman, is widely recognized as one of the best plays since World War II. The protagonist pursues the American dream of success and happiness all his life, but he fails to achieve it. At the end of the 20th century, women's literature and ethnic literature have made great progress in America. The following videos will focus on American women literature and ethnic literature. See you next time. Goodbye.